Welcome to the Channeling Spirit Virtual Summit, a platform where we have invited Spirit to share messages, healings, and transmissions with all of us. May this energetic experience help us to expand our awareness and to deepen the relationship we have with our higher self, our spiritual team, and with Source, however we define them. Thank you for being here and for taking part in this amazing journey. Welcome to the Channeling Spirit Virtual Summit. My name is Daniel Martinez Stahl. This is Season 7, Episode 6 with Samuel Thomas-Holland. For those of you that are returning to us, you're well aware that he is part of my practice group, and he has been with us from the beginning. And it's always fun and exciting to connect with him again and see who decides to come through him. Which is always fun. So I will let him introduce himself to you guys as always, and then we will go from there.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Samuel Thomas-Holland, and I run the Oracle in the Reflection company, which deals with Reiki healing, tarot card readings, and also mediumship abilities and talking to your spiritual guides and past loved ones. Lately, I've been more focusing on the Reiki healings due to, of course, the discussion and topic today of opening portals and closing portals, which I have recently developed and evolved into. But we can discuss that in this meeting today.
Uh-oh, he froze. So let's see if he comes back. I'm wondering.
Are you frozen?
He was frozen. Was I frozen too?
You were frozen.
Yeah.
I was frozen? So
Yeah.
Samuel was frozen on my end.
Oh, okay. That's why. That's why it's such a sign.
So I'm the one that was frozen. All right. Spirit guys, can you please play with my internet so that it doesn't freeze me again, please? Okay, so it seems like I keep on freezing. Is that right? I froze again?
Has it happened again already this morning, has it?
No, just within this conversation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so hopefully, give me a second. I'm just going to put out an energetic invitation. So what I do whenever I do this is I kind of connect into within myself. And what I'm doing is I'm sending out an invitation to the energies, my spirit friends, to help flow the energy through the communications so that it allows us to communicate freely and easily through the computers and through the internet. Okay. So fingers crossed. We'll see how that goes. So a lot of people, again, for the reason that I'm bringing this up, just a little side note, for people that are joining this and are kind of new to the whole kind of spiritual development side of their life, it happens quite often where the energies of spirit overload our computers and the internet and the hardware that we use to communicate. The energies can create an overload on the system. It happens quite often. People talk about it all the time, and I've seen it happen with people that I watch and listen to. So,
and I remember it used to happen a lot, Daniel, with our mentor of channeling, Jamie Butler. Well, I recall it happening a lot also in the mentorship program that I did with her. He would freeze a lot. Yeah.
So of course there's technical things, and freezing happens to everybody, but when we start playing with spirit as part of the conversation, the energy is enhanced, and sometimes it puts an overload on our technology. Just as a little FYI. So anyway, side note aside. So Samuel, talk to us about the this idea of portals and what you've been playing with that.
Well, this came up through after I'd done Reiki level 2 hands-on in Melbourne, Australia, and then went over to Europe for a dramatic voices program in Berlin, Germany. And so that then also formed into my Reiki practice of seeing portals around chakra systems, and also just portals in areas of the body where that need, mostly the crown chakra, of course, with mental health issues, but also in the heart, the glands, the immune system in some people as well, but also a lot I've been finding in the actual world around me. And it's been interesting closing portals both inwardly and then also in the energetic of the external, but always having to ask, can I close this portal, or is it there for a reason? And usually the answer is yes, because from what I hear, portals are not completely necessary all the time, except for if they are very old and they're permeating history. And that's what I found with a King William III encounter when I was in London, England. And a lot of spirits came to me, and the palace in Kensington Gardens was filled with old portals. And that was my first time encountering portals that I was told there's no need to close them because they're a part of history, and they're helping history be remembered through their openness, which I found astounding and very interesting as well. So there's a lot of interesting factors, and always the question has to be asked, can this be closed, yes or no? I think comes into the permission side of things when dealing with portals, opening and closing for specific reasons.
And for people that aren't familiar with what a portal is, how would you describe that?
Well, from what I see in my intuitive third eye chakra, and also in intuitive eye in general, it's usually like a sort of wound. It's like a sort of thinking of it as a sort of cut, or even an open hole with a very much just trying to find the right description for it. An open hole which has immense light coming through it, but also sometimes you can see things coming through it at the same time, but usually it's just an open hole in the chakra system, or in the glands, or in the crown chakra predominantly, that produces mental health issues and also immune system issues I've found in the past when going in to do Reiki healing with that same portal terminology. And so it then comes into the factor of almost being in a medical way of closing it up and stitching it up, is how I present with closing up a portal. And then also putting in what my mentor of Reiki, Casey, has referred to as bolts, but I sort of refer to it more as in another medical term as sort of stitches, but also band-aids of zipping up the portal. And then sometimes it can just, if it's small enough, you can wipe it away like chalk, I find. And most of the portals that are there are small enough to just wipe away like chalk and then send into the earth, be rid of. And then, yeah, most of the time when you're closing a portal, it feels like a zipper, like you're having the pressure of zipping up something, especially a larger one, where I refer to it as a hole with immense light coming through it.
So
And so, yeah, that's been incredibly, dare I say, tricky to, as you can tell, help others understand with, because even I myself have been, it's so new to me, but
so
it's
I
so intriguing to me at the same time.
yeah,
Yeah.
I have no experience with portals, and so what little I know is from listening to other people talk about them. And like anything else in this community, this conversation, different people will use the same terms to reference different things. And so just as a footnote to the listeners, always kind of pay attention to how it's being used. And it might be the same term that someone else used that is referring to something similar, but in a different way. And so for me, a portal is an energetic space that allows me to link different dimensions or different aspects of existence easily. And so
Exactly.
if there's a
Yeah.
portal that's open, it's a space where it's easy for me to connect with or communicate with or step into a different aspect of existence beyond the space that I'm currently playing in, almost like in the movies and things like those kinds of things. But again, it can be used in different ways and in different formats. I've never heard of somebody describing portals in the way that Samuel is just describing it, where it's kind of working with the chakra system and it's, different portals that are opening or closing across the body. I've never heard it described in that way. So this is really cool. Anything else that you want to
Yeah.
share?
I just feel that it's a part of my development, and I'm sure it's a part of many people's development once they start to look into these sort of healings, such as Reiki and other modalities of such strong energetic healing. I feel like it's enhanced and helped me evolve more into my dealings with spirit and dealings with energetic community, and basically also the universe around me. I've been finding there's a lot more, exactly, expanding, as Sally just said, expanding in the world, and also helping understand what's going on. And I have seen many developments through the healing of closing portals, especially one in Germany when there was a gentleman who got on the train, and I could sense straight away that he needed some Reiki healing help. And so I went into him, found the portals, closed them for him, and it was so enriching afterwards, because as I left the train to get to the station platform that I needed to be on, he smiled at me, and it was this guide's sort of interaction saying, "Thank you. You've actually helped more than you know," because he was suffering quite a bit, and what you've just done has helped immensely. Where he went from thrashing around in the beginning to this calm, smiling demeanor that was just so content, so "I know what you've done for me and thank you" sort of response, without saying a thing, that was very telepathic in its nature also. So yeah, that was one little story that has occurred through these healings that I felt, wow, that definitely has helped. Yeah.
Yeah, what's really interesting, again, depending on who you train with and who you study with and what they teach, when I took my Reiki course, the person that I studied with talked about how Reiki has a consciousness in and of itself. And so to pay attention and to notice how that energy wants to work with you and how that energy presents itself to you, because it'll be unique to each one of us. And I really like that idea, and I like that perspective. Reiki works with me through cartoon characters. So I've got a cartoon little dragon, and I've got a cartoon beach ball that represent different aspects of the Reiki energy that I leave behind all the time under trees and when it's raining. And so I use these cartoon characters as a representation of the Reiki energy. So it's just fascinating how it presents itself so differently, and how it wants to be worked with and used within our own models and within our own process in such beautiful ways.
Precisely.
Anything else you want to kind of talk about with regards to kind of the topic that you're bringing up about this healing and the Reiki energy and the portals?
Yeah. I feel like each time I do Reiki, it helps heal more than I know. Where I know I'm closing the portals each time around the areas that are affecting me, and I see results afterwards. Where if I'm having pain in my appendix or in my heart, or if I'm too not focusing on my truth enough, I always see there's more portals in my solar plexus area these days. And so that really is more indicating of where I'm needing to focus. And that's a real help. And that's also, I suppose, when I go in to help Reiki healing with clients and also with people in general around town, even though you don't go up to them afterwards and say, hey, I've found this within your chakra system, because then they go, what? But you can, of course, with your clients, because they know, of course, what you're helping them with. And so I've been finding that's very almost, dare I say, not medically helpful, but helpful to go to say, this is where you need to look into areas of your life, possibly where the most portals were in the session, to really, even though it's been healed, this is what's been coming up more in your life. And that's been really helpful to see how much needs to be cleared, to then go, okay, what can we work on here? Yeah, in this specific chakra region, and why is this bringing up so much portal activity that needs to be closed?
So there's two things that I would like to just kind of bring into this conversation. And again, this is just my perspective. There's a number of people that will talk about how it's not our place to work on anybody without their permission. There's other people that talk about how, well, I'm getting a sensation from someone that I perceive as being their higher self or their spirit team, which is asking me to help them, and so I do. And then there's others that say when they work with somebody without their explicit permission, they reach out to the higher self or soul of the individual and energetically ask permission, and or will say something like, I'm going to be doing this work for you and with you, and it's for you to decide whether you accept it or not. And so you kind of give them the permission energetically. You ask for permission energetically, or you give them an option, so you're not imposing yourself on them and their journey, and allowing them to, continuously to choose what they are living for and what they are living with, because that's ultimately their choice and not yours. And so I just kind of want to bring this up because, Samuel's talking about, working with somebody on a train that he's never met, that he's never spoken to, and, getting feedback afterwards about the appreciation. And so I don't want to say don't do this and don't do that, but I just want to bring this up as just be aware of, there's different ways that one can work with people respectfully and with integrity, respect in alignment with their own journey and their own path.
Precisely. And that's why I always try and gauge permission before I continue. And usually if it's either it's never been a complete no, don't do anything. It's always been yes, but in specific areas, because there's journeys that need to be taken, exactly what you were saying, Daniel, half the time with the other areas in their internal life that they need to focus on themselves, and that we can't, as healers, help them within that present moment. They have to help themselves in those specific areas before it can be healed by their team. So yeah, I think permission is definitely a must, as I found myself.
Sorry, I muted myself, so I thought I was unmuting myself. Is Samuel communicating with his higher self for acceptance? My understanding is that you can do that. Their higher self. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Sally. And so the question is, from Sally's asking, how do you communicate with their higher self to get permission to work with them when you're not in communication with their human?
Usually through Reiki symbols that I've learned for distant healing Reiki, that also then opens me up to find more intuitively to talk to their higher self and their guides. It's normally their guides who I give them permission. And like I said, I've never had a complete no, don't do anything for them. It's always been yes, but also no of what I've just explained. Yeah.
So again, as I always kind of mention to people that are here with us live, feel free to, interact, raise your hand, ask questions, either verbally or through the chat. Sally wants to know how long you've been doing Reiki. Has your intuition and sensing of energy developed along the way?
I'd say about 2 years now, Sally, because I did external Reiki with Jamie Butler to begin with, and I feel that's helped me with my distance healing abilities. And with this new instructor in Melbourne, Casey, it's helping me with my hands-on abilities a bit more. And I feel like that's also been helping me with the development also, as Dr. Usui, Hiroshi Takada, who are the main founders of Reiki, have been with me on this journey since Jamie's Reiki treatments and Reiki attunements, and then also with Reiki 1 and 2 hands-on in Melbourne as well.
There's a lot of people in the community that will talk about how they started developing their sensitivities through something like Reiki as they started to play with energy and understand energy and interact with energy. It just kind of opened things up for them. So Carly asks or makes a comment, sometimes I attempt to exude Reiki on public transport to be received by anyone who consents to have it. I hope that's ethical. I would say that it is, Carly. Again, I think that what's important there is your intent, which is, here's some energy that you guys might benefit from, and you can choose to accept it or not, and you kind of leave it up to them. I think that that's very ethical. I sometimes do it with airplanes for whatever the reason, an airplane's flying overhead, and I feel this inspiration to infuse it with loving light and loving energy. So Chiara asks, can sign on body like skin marks or something be a sign that there is a portal that needs to work with?
Sorry, Daniel, what was that question from Chiara again?
Can a sign on the body, I'm going to kind of reword this a little bit, Chiara. Can a sign on the body like skin marks or something like that be an indication that there's a portal in that space that is inviting us to work with it?
I'd be saying it's a portal to be closed, is what I'm hearing, because it's old energy. It's not to say that the skin marks won't completely disappear, but I'm hearing that for that sort of treatment, it's more the portal needs to be closed because it's an old sense of energy that no longer needs to be there.
There's a lot of talk in the past life regression world where there are, birthmarks or situations in the body that are representative of an alternate life where somebody was killed because of a stab in this part of their body, or something happened that represented something, and then there's a mark on the body that's linked to that alternate life. Similar to what Samuel said earlier, my 2 cents is, if you're working with any energy, is, understanding, is this energy that is necessary for me, or is this energy that I can release and let go of? Because there are some links that are important to hold on to. Many of them are not. Many of them are not. Many of them are just, residual energy that's coming forward, and we're feeling it because we're in a position where we can release it. And so we're actually helping our alternate life by releasing the energy in this life. And so there's that kind of interdimensional relationship between the lives that we're living that are all linked to our current life.
And on that topic, Daniel, I've been with my Reiki healing recently, I've been finding a lot of energetic daggers and blades in people's chakras from old experiences, possibly past lives, probably projection from others in the recent current present, that then I've been finding that having to let go of recently. And I feel and I hear that that's an ascension process within itself for everyone in the collective at the moment, because it's been happening a lot with clients that have been coming to me. I've been finding a lot of, as well as myself, a lot of daggers of disharmony, a lot of daggers of old jealousy, old fears, blades of blockages in the root chakra area, of course, which then cause immense fear still. Should I, shouldn't I sort of energy that are blocking us from our path in life and our journeys that we need to take to move forward. And it's very interesting that those are coming up, and I found that's very in the similar vein to what Kiara's question brings forward also. Can Reiki heal and is the portal there for a reason due to my past, or does it need to be cleared? And usually it needs to be cleared from what I've been finding recently.
Yeah,
even though we wish to hold on to the past and past lives, they are there to be learned for a reason, and then of course they are there to be healed for a reason afterwards as well. But sorry, Sally said something. What did she say?
Yeah, no, I don't want to let go of this quite yet. Kiara mentions that she was told that it was a portal from Lyra, I don't know how to pronounce that, from some other human friends. And so it's likely, I always talk about how anything is possible because we live in a world of infinite potentials and possibilities. We live in a dimension of infinite potentials and possibilities across multiple dimensions. So anything's possible. That link between, your friend or that person and Lyra, maybe it's important for her to have that link for whatever the reason. It could be an energetic link that connects her with an alternate life, or with a loved one, or with a soulmate, or with a guide. And so then that metaphor of the birthmark is a beautiful reminder of that connection. So, I remember when Jamie was talking to us about, when she was learning about the chakras and the energy flow of the chakras, she worked with somebody and corrected the direction of their chakras because they were spinning in a direction that they shouldn't spin in. And when she did that, the person passed out. and so then she corrected what she had fixed, and the person woke up again and said, don't ever do that again. And so it's really not our place to say, this is what it needs to be and this is what it should be, because this is what I was taught. It's really about recognizing and being open to understanding, how is this working, and is this working for you? You know, because
exactly, and I follow the same vein, especially with the permissions as well. I'm always asking in the Reiki healing, does this need to be here, or can it be left for their own path to find peace with, to find healing with? And I'm always knowing that there's always, of course, passage to learn more, passage to evolve more, passage to grow and, basically evolve with this craft, with this energetic healing. There's never a cut and dry, as I've been finding a lot and having to deal with my own prejudice against the medical community a little bit. I've been finding to heal that my own with the unopen-mindedness, but realizing that that's their journey to go down as well, as just as much as my own of being so open-minded to the fact that there's more for everything than meets the eye, instead of the closed-mindedness of what I've found so much out there and that really affects me. I've found, but I'm working on why it affects me, of course, more now. And that's also, I know, an evolution within itself. So yeah, definitely, definitely, it's an ever expanding. Like I said, I find it hard even trying to describe this new portal healing techniques sometimes as well, because it's just so new to me. But I'm so enriched and so in love with the process that I'm having to describe it more, just so that I can understand it as well as the collective can understand it also now too.
yeah, that's beautiful. It's wonderful to hear you kind of exploring your edges of understanding. There's something else that I wanted to kind of mention, which is this idea of, you know, daggers and blades and wounds within our energy. A lot of us tend to use metaphors to describe things, and there was something from my past that was affecting my present, and I was working with a channel who was sharing me this information, and I really appreciated how it was described to me. And I'm bringing this up because it's aligned with my belief system and the way that I see things and the way that I see energy. And it could have been very different, where this channel could have said to me, oh, you've got a dagger stuck into your energy from another life that you need to release and let go and heal that wound. And what I was told was, you've got a relationship with this other lifetime that's holding you back. And I asked, is there anything that I need to do to understand it? And they said, no, you know, just being grateful for the experience and gratitude and love, and just release it is all you need to do. And so I went through my own healing process, and the things that I do, the imaginations that I run through when I'm releasing and letting go of old energies. I went through that process with it. You know, the question was, sit with, you know, what could that experience have done to help you with what you are doing today? And so I sat with that, and I was like, well, if that lifetime was this, what could I have learned from it? How could that be influencing me today? And all these ideas started popping in my head. Well, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. And so I thanked that other life of me for the challenges and struggles that it was living through, and appreciated what her experience was helping me in this life as my way of releasing it, as my way of letting it go and healing it, if you will. And so I personally don't talk about, knives and things stuck in energy. But if that's a metaphor that works for people, then that's a beautiful metaphor that works for them, to pull out the knife and then, energetically heal the wound and pack it and, do
Well,
whatever it needs to do.
I wouldn't bring it up, Daniel, if I hadn't seen it intuitively. And this is what I saw intuitively in both myself and so many others. So that's why I bring it up in such a way. If I'd seen it as a unicorn sitting on my chakra system, that I'm bringing up as a unicorn sitting on my chakra system that I needed to have removed.
Yeah. And that's exactly why I'm
exactly.
bringing it up. That's exactly why I'm bringing it up, is because, these things will be presented to us in a language that makes sense to us, based on the things that we are playing with. And the only reason that I bring this up is because, it's very easy for people that are listening to say, oh, yeah, I've got a lot of daggers stuck in me. And it's not necessarily that's the case, because, nobody wants a dagger stuck in them. It's not pleasant.
And it's all perspective at the end of the day as well.
So they're all different metaphors that are presented to us, in our healing work. They're metaphors that are presented to us to represent things that are helpful for us as healers to work with and play with. And I love the idea of portals. I think that's it's a very neutral and non-threatening, metaphor that isn't associated with violence, So I really like that metaphor. So Sally's asking, she's let her Reiki practice slip. I'd really like to pick it up again. Have you worked on the animals or any animals, Samuel? My cat Stan loved it. So what's your experience with working with animals?
Funny you should say that, Sally, because I had a ringtail possum encounter recently where I was walking down to the train one day and all of a sudden something fell out of the tree. And I was going, oh, is it a baby bird? And then the closer I got, two huge reflective eyeballs looked up at me, and I didn't realize what it was at first. I thought it might have been a cat or something, but then I realized it was too small to be a cat. But it was all furry behind those big bulbous glowing eyes. And so then I knelt down, did the Reiki symbols on it, and interestingly enough, its little body started to not violently, but just energetically shake. And that was the first time I've ever given it to an animal, Reiki to an animal. And the results were surprising, because then it shot its legs up and said, okay, I stepped back. And then all of a sudden it ran up my leg and started darting around like a little ferret, as Maitland says. And so, but it was, I could feel the love that it had for me, because I'd given it so much energetic healing from its shock from falling out of a tree. And then we got a stick and put it back up on the tree that it was, and it gleefully jumped up onto the tree, and its little ringtail tail curled around the tree branches it was climbing as well. But yeah, that was the first time I've ever given Reiki to an animal, and it was very appreciative. And I think it will always remember it within its soul for sure, that there was that interaction between us of unconditional love when it was in a state of shock. Yeah.
I remember Jamie talking about how animals, because they're so much more in tune to energy than we are, they will let you know when they're done. Like if you're doing Reiki energy with them, it'll get to a certain point where they will let you know, okay, I'm done. Like they'll walk away, or they'll, look at you in a certain way, or they'll do something to let you know that they've received everything that they need to receive or want to receive at this point in time, and you don't need to continue. I believe it was Jamie that said it. Maybe it was, my teacher, Shannon. But animals love Reiki energy. It's a lot of, it's no surprise that your cat likes it. Samuel, where would you like this conversation to go, or would you like to start channeling? What would you like to do?
How much time do we have left, Daniel?
We have about an hour, a little less.
Oh, good. Yeah, I think we should definitely try and channel somebody. I don't know who's going to come through because there's so many. I might feel up there today.
I don't want to cut the conversation short, which is the reason I'm just kind of asking, do you want to continue talking about this a bit more, or you feel...
Definitely as well, though. Yeah, we've got that much more time left. What vein of the conversation have you found that you'd like to talk more about or ask more about? Or is there a question in the chat thread that I haven't seen yet that we need to answer?
Nothing is really kind of coming to mind. Nothing is coming to mind. Wait, something just popped in. Do we need to take a formal course to learn and practice Reiki? Why don't you take that, and then I'll give you my 2 cents on that too.
I'd say yes and no, but at the same time, if you're wanting to learn level 1, I'd definitely say yes. Go into a level 1 course and then see if it's for you. Because then, of course, there's more evolution and development when you go into the distance healing side of Reiki level 2. And you find, of course, as I have, evolutions of your own growth in a spiritual and energetic manner, as I have with this portal technique that I've never knew existed before now. I'd heard of it in the past from others, but never truly understood it until now. So I definitely say if you're interested, definitely look into a practice of level 1 first to see if it's for you.
When I took the Reiki class that I took, after the class, I kind of was talking with my friend who was teaching the class, and I said, I've been doing this my entire life, so it's no different than what I've done. It's just presented differently. It's presented with more structure, but it's fundamentally the same thing that I've just intuitively done myself. And now I also can't say it was entirely myself, because as a child, I would also go and sit in the back corner while my mother was getting a massage class or something. And so I was exposed to different healing modalities as a child, just as an observer in the room. And so that helped to shape what I did with energy healing myself. Where the Reiki training does have a significant benefit to it, if you want to play in the space, is the attunement process that happens at the different levels. And so within Reiki, there's a process where the teacher will basically open up channels within your body that will allow you to manage and handle and flow more energy more easily, more effectively. And there's different attunement at each level. So level 1 has one attunement, level 2 has another attunement, level 3 has another attunement. And this will open up your body to be able to handle energy more effectively.
And saying that, Daniel, though, just to put my 10 cents in, there was a individual in our Reiki level 1 who found it too intense. So I'm just putting it out there. Some individuals do find the attunement a bit too intense, and I even though I'd done it with Jamie, found the hands-on version a lot more intense than the distant levels that I did with Jamie, where the energy was still intense. It's more intense when you do it in a hands-on approach, and the attunements being given to you from a hand above your head more than from a distance.
And so there's a kind of follow-up comment here from Casey that she was supposedly attuned to level 1 years ago from someone online doing it by distance. Could this be valid? Yes, it can be valid. I did my attunement remotely. When we start to play in these spaces, again, our beliefs will shape our experiences. There's people that facilitate spiritual journeys that feel like they cannot do it effectively remotely. And so they don't.
Exactly.
There's no distance in space and time. And so Samuel and I, even though we're on opposite ends of the globe, with me being in the US, East Coast, and Samuel being in Southern Australia, energetically, we're not in a different place. And so there's no difference with where he is in the globe, whether or not I can heal him, work with him, connect with him, facilitate him even. All of my all of my spiritual facilitations have all been done on Zoom. I've never done a in-person facilitation. All of mine have been done on Zoom. And so the remote work is equally as powerful. What tends to happen sometimes is that we have a belief that it isn't as powerful, and so we then create a resistance or a limitation to it. Like my sister, for example, oh, that'll never work because they're not in person. Well, if that's the belief that she's walking in with, then that's the experience that she's going to be given. So hopefully that's helpful, Casey. But again, to Samuel's experience, he had a more powerful experience when he did the training in person versus one that he did remotely. Now, one can say that it's because of the fact that he was in person, it wasn't remote, or one could argue that he was now ready for it to be more intense because it's been, 3 or 4 years or 2 years since he did the first one, and he's been expanding a million times since then. And so now it was more powerful because he was ready for it, and the fact that it was in person was completely secondary to it. So
Either or, it was he was definitely not I'm not discrediting Jamie's techniques. I'm just saying the energy I felt with the hands-on approach was 10 times more lasting, I guess, because even after we'd done all the attunements for both level 1 and 2, I could feel more collective energy after each one, where I did a little bit with the Jamie's courses, but it wasn't. But I dare I say that was during the pandemic, and so I guess I didn't have that same ability to go outside as much then and experience the collective field of Reiki energy at the same time, and then also be open to such, dare we say, collective disharmony and harmony all at once.
your sensitivities have also increased since you did the first class with Jamie.
Exactly. And then also,
you're more energy sensitive, and you're also more energy expansive, and you're also managing and handling much more energy now than you did then. And so I'm just bringing it up as a way of, it's hard to kind of say, well, this is one and this is the other, because Samuel was a different person when he did the first one and the one that he's doing now. And so it might not be because of the fact that it was remote versus hands-on, and it could be, I'm not saying it isn't, but I'm just opening up the possibility that it could also be more due to the fact that he is more expansive, more aware, more sensitive now than he was back then. And so that's why it was more powerful to him. But then our beautiful human looks to assign if then and accreditation. Oh, it's because of this. Oh, it's because of this. And
exactly.
I'm just kind of saying it might be, not saying it isn't, but there's other possibilities involved. So, so hopefully,
and I guess with our rational thinking as well, it always is the case of each level of expansion has helped, as you're saying, that bringing forward was just more intense in the hands-on approaches that of both level 1 and 2 than it was in the distance, which of course had opened me up to help others during the pandemic stages. At least then I can actually was able to do more. I found more distance work was the helpful. What's the word? Helpful in the retrospective going within. And I think with Jamie's side of things, that really helped more with the intuitive side of finding. And now with the portal work, it's helped really understand the chakra systems, the immune systems a lot more than what the hands-on approach does, of course, which is just more of the external. But because I have that spiritual facilitation from Jamie, I can actually probably do more intuitive work than most, where others will just have their hands on the chakra systems and feel heat or feel cold and not actually know what's actually going on within half the time, I found. But each to their own, as you keep saying, Daniel. Yeah. And
Yeah.
as I know myself,
And it's going to manifest in its own way. Like I said, I mean, it's, I love the idea that Reiki has its own consciousness and it will play with you differently. And so the idea of learning how our instrument is working with that energy is unique to ourselves. So in short, Casey, do you need formal course? No. Would it help and can it help? Yes. But do you need it? No. Can you get there on your own? Absolutely.
And then Casey, actually, one thing, and it's what Jamie always recommended. If you're looking into it, this book here has everything you need.
And for those that are listening to the podcast, it is the Essential Reiki, A Complete Guide to an Ancient Healing by Diane Stein, Stein.
And that should be in the chat thread, shouldn't it? Or the whatever it's called at the end of the session.
Yeah, there's a lot of books out there, and there's a lot of information on Reiki, and there's a lot of different perspectives on Reiki. There's some that are more traditional, more conservative, and there's some that are more expansive and more creative, more fluid in their approach and their methodology. And one isn't right and one isn't wrong. They're just different.
But I definitely recommend that book just as much as Jamie recommended it to me, because it deals with both level 1, 2, and 3. And if you're not wanting to do the courses, then at least you're then reading up on it. And then, of course, I feel from what I'm hearing, then it's I feel like it's then bringing forward spiritual helpers, as we know of, such as Maitland and Eric, Mr. Methus, and then also your own soul family and your own guides, helping you understand it through reading and then understanding with a little bit of research I'm hearing with Dr. Google for understanding what the signs mean and how to use them properly in distance healing. If you're not, like I said, and as Daniel said as well, if you're not wanting to go down the course path for the levels, then at least, yeah, it's really helpful, and it's helped me in the past when you've got brain fog or something, and you go, yes, that's the symbol. That's what I forgot.
Yeah. So, shall we connect with whoever wants to play with you, or is there anything else that you would like to talk about?
I'll put it out to the community. Is there any other questions before we try and
Any
channel
questions that
somebody
you
in
guys
through.
have, or anything else that you guys want to have a conversation with before Samuel connects? Not seeing anything.
Man,
Sounds like a wonderful
You're
tool,
absolutely-
and I also know I am now also inspired to find a hands-on course here if I can.
they're everywhere, Casey, I think. So you'll be spoiled for choice. Just finding the right one for you, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Follow your inner wisdom. You'll know which one's right for you. Welcome. Take your time. Take your time. Just let us know when you're ready. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Excellent. Excellent. Have you come to play with us in the past? Do we know who you are?
You know who I am.
I know who you are, but the audience might not. Why don't you introduce yourself to us?
I'm 9 years old, and my name starts with an M, ends with a D.
With a bunch of letters in between.
Dot, 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 dot.
Welcome, Maitland. Welcome back.
I'm glad to be here today.
Was Eric battling you to come in again this time, or was he letting you?
Now he gave me the wave. Come on in.
So for those of you that were here last time, Maitland and Eric were having a playful banter on the back end, trying to decide who was going to step forward, and Eric won last time. So welcome, Maitland. What would you like to share with us today?
Grace is here too.
Who is?
Grace.
Oh, Grace. Hey, Grace. Haven't spoken to you in a while. So for people that are listening, Grace and Maitland work very closely with Jamie Butler, who was our trance channel teacher. Grace presents herself very formal, refined, elegant. And
Cup of
Maitland.
tea, Daniel.
I'm sorry?
Very cup of tea.
Yes, very cup of tea. And Maitland is very playful with her energy, very exuberant with her energy, and they both have their different areas of, call it expertise. So welcome to have you, Grace. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
My pleasure to be here also.
And so are both of you going to bounce back and forth between our friend, or are we going to be speaking primarily with you, Grace?
I shall step forward when necessary, but Maitland shall take the show
Excellent.
for the predominant future.
Beautiful. Well, it's an honor to have you playing with us, Grace. It's been a while since you and I have played actively in my physical world.
It is my honor to be here once again, for I am there more than you know, Daniel.
I appreciate it, and I know. And so for
I
you
shall
guys,
return
go
to
ahead.
Maitland's. What questions do you have, Daniel?
What questions do I have? Well, I would love to get your perspective on Reiki and working with portals, given that that's the conversation that we've been speaking about.
Putting my thinking cap on.
Is it okay if I speak a little bit to give the audience an understanding of
Please do, as we're
the
doing
silence? So a lot of times when we connect with spirit, and sometimes there's silence on the other end, part of what's happening is that spirit is giving a download to the channel. So Samuel is receiving information that's then being compiled within his human experience so that can be shared out. And sometimes when there's silence, this is one of the things that might be happening. And this is what I perceived was happening in this moment. So I'm sharing that with you. I've also been told that when I give these descriptive things, it sometimes pulls the channel out of their experience and interferes with it. So I love kind of walking you guys through the experience of channeling and different things that happen within channeling. But this is why I wasn't speaking when he was connecting. That's why there was a lot of silence there. So I'm trying to be respectful of the connection that our friend has with the space. And so Maitland, whenever you feel like you are able to give us some information about Reiki and portals.
From a general perspective, Reiki is, of course, as we know, energy from whatever God you believe in. But of course, it's from our Creator. And it has also helped others achieve miracles in the past through what Samuel now understands as portal work, but as what others have called gazing through the hourglass or gazing through windows to other perspectives, to other souls, to other dimensions. The ever evolving energy of Reiki, because the Creator wishes to see change. wishes to see a collective responsibility for those who understand it and for those who use it. There can be malicious intent more than you know with Reiki as also, but this is very much less than you think, and it all comes down to perspective when it is used in such a manner. But of course, Reiki is used predominantly by healers who are so empathetic and who have brought forward their empathy through their own journey to help the collective heal. And as Daniel has described, the portals that he sees are there to be healed, are there to be closed, but also he has discovered recently how to open portals to others' dragons within Reiki energy to heal cords of old wounds, cords of traumas within the energetic, within the chakra systems, within the vessels that sometimes others cling on to when they should not. But their dragon helps them breathe fire, and then also show Samuel, as it shows others, where the portals lie and need to be closed.
What is the relationship between Reiki and dragons?
Healing for with so much permission from guides. When one discovers how to open a portal to their dragon or others' dragons through Reiki, it is highly beneficial to protect with bubble techniques the chakra systems not to be overloaded with flame. Although the flame does seep in, it is mainly for the healing process. Dragons help with so much, but for this subject matter, their flame helps release us from ties that bind, from cords that have been stuck for past life and our current lives, that traumas persist, but our dragons always help us when permission is given. This then helps us as the individual or a healer such as Samuel see what needs to be healed and what does not.
And
For as you know yourself, Daniel, and as you have described,
and
sometimes healing needs to be taken by the individual itself. Sometimes the healer can only do so much. Please ask a question, Daniel.
yes, I'm curious, just out of personal curiosity, the relationship between dragons and Reiki or healing, because one of the symbols within the Reiki symbols is a dragon. And so I'm just curious, are dragons the source of this modality, or what's the relationship between dragons and this description of healing?
Yes, yes, of course they are. And through this evolution, that is why Samuel has now found a way to access others' dragons with the permission of guides, as well as his own. For it, with the symbol that you described, Daniel, it is precisely a key development and evolution into the dragon that protects you just as much as the dragon. The perspective of the reptilian that scares us, but is necessary to balance. But the dragon is the one that helps us more than the reptilian half the time. But the reptilian is always there to show us perspective. And sometimes it helps us more than we know. Just as much as the dragon.
And so what do you mean by the reptilian?
Arachnoids, you know them as lizard men, extraterrestrial race. They always seem to be very low vibrational, and most of them are. But that is, as I have already stated, for perspective. Always see low vibration always as malicious, as evil, but perspective is necessary when it comes to this, as so many of us have guides who are reptiles, who are benevolent, but also have the same low vibration that scares many when they encounter them. But the reptilian always has answers and perspectives that sometimes the dragon does not know, and others who are more benevolent do not know. Answers to questions that might seem malicious and hurtful, but help you in a perspective. And that is why we always say there are multiple perspectives to everything.
And so what's the reptilian energy association with Reiki?
As described, it is the yin, the dragon's yang, the balance that needs to be. Hence why there is always two in the Reiki symbols. Although most only do one, it is more powerful when two of the symbols of the dragon and the reptilian are involved together. For of course it is like the yin yang.
So it's the same symbol
Balance.
repeated upside down facing each other, like the yin yang. Is that how you would draw it?
No, they look like dragons. And they have two scales. That is the symbol.
Well, is it something that I could easily find if I Googled a dragon Reiki
As
duo?
Samuel said, Dr. Google, you'll find it very quickly. Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. I'm just curious. I've never seen a dual dragon symbol for Reiki before, so I'm curious about that. Thank you for that.
My pleasure. It is what you learn when you do level 2 with Jamie and with any other practitioner and teacher.
Well, I'm going to talk to mine because mine didn't talk to me about the dual dragons. Anyway,
Some do not know, and some have a different perspective on the symbol. But this is what I know, and this is how I interpret it myself. But also what I gauge from what I have received from my own learning through Jamie and others.
thank you for that. Guys in the audience, if you guys have any questions for Maitland or anything that you would like to kind of chat with her about, feel free to let me know. What else would you like to share with us, Maitland, while we have you?
Samuel brought up King William III. He has had a past life with them. That is why it was so interestingly intense when he encountered the palace in the gardens. Or even the king stepped forward and wished him farewell as he exited the gardens. I was so proud of him that day, but even though it was so intense, he took in the information so wonderfully and understood it more once he came back to Australia. That has also helped him teach how all portals are necessary, the history. I am bringing up also at the moment because he was in Paris and he was in the Opera Garden. Samuel encountered many earthbound spirits who were benevolent and who merely observed, and he could feel them when he was in the opera house. They were in the shadows looking at him. These also had open portals of old history that did not need to be closed. But he understood this also, even though it confused him at the same time. You may know this as the opera house where the Phantom of the Opera is influenced by in Paris, for the perspective of things. Is there any questions, Daniel, that linger?
I don't have any questions coming from the people that are listening to us.
And
Is there
feel that there are from some in the audience, if they have courage enough to write them down, I may be able to answer them for you.
hopefully we can encourage people to put their questions down. And if you would like, it can also be anonymous. Just let me know in the message that you would like it to be anonymous, and I won't mention your name. Or you can send me a private message, a direct message as well. So Maitland, question for you with regards to again, with this the same idea of Reiki. Reiki is by definition the energy of life. That's what the
The
name
energy of the
refers to.
Creator, yes.
the question of, does one need to take a Reiki class in order to use Reiki? Of course, no, they don't, but would love to hear your thoughts on how you would answer that.
It's already within you. As Samuel has stated, and the great source book is the one he brought up before. If you feel inclined to go and do a course, I always, of course, recommend Jamie, because we work so closely together, but there are so many that are out there. And as Daniel has stated, listen to your own intuition. And if you feel inclined to do a level 1, or if you have already done a level 1, level 2 for distance healing, call upon me or someone else who you feel spiritually connected to, and they will, of course, when given permission, help you intuitively find the course that is right for you and the instructor who is right for you. And it will feel like it's a gelling combination when you find them.
So there is a question that came forward, which is it okay to combine Reiki with the energy of the Holy Spirit, or are they the same anyway?
They are the same, as is everything. For as I have stated, it is the energy of the Creator, so it is the energy of everything.
And so, yes, it's okay to combine them. It's because they're the same.
Sure.
All right, guys, feel free. Maitland's going to be disappearing soon. Not really, but
I'm going
Maitland's
to be
always
hovering
here.
around everywhere.
Maitland's always here with us. Any questions? Anything else? Maitland, if anybody is inclined to ask a question, which please do, anything else that you would like to share with the Channeling Spirit Virtual Summit community that is outside of the conversation of Reiki and dragons and reptilians?
Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum.
Okay, so while you're not answering that, which is fine, a question for you. Can you invite a dragon into our space to do some Reiki healing for the group? And can you
Of course.
facilitate what is happening and how it's happening for our beautiful humans to be brought along the journey?
Everyone who's involved and who'll be watching this later on, I gauge permission from your guides and focus in on your red root chakra, one that is necessary for everything that is occurring at the moment. We gain permission from your guides to open up and put a bubble around your root chakra for protection, as well as putting a bubble around your third eye to intuitively bring forward what is necessary. With permission, we open up the portal for your dragon and ask that if anything is connected that no longer needs to serve you, that its fire be breathed into the areas, and let the flame, from its benevolence, blow away the old and welcome in the new. As this occurs, you may feel a heat in your hands or a heat in your lower extremities. This is merely the dragon's fire burning away what no longer needs to be. If it's intense, breathe through the nose and out through the mouth. Multiple times. For this energy does not last for very long. And once your dragon has breathed fire in the areas that need to be released, we zip up with permission the portal that it came through and thank for its intervention today. And there we have it, Daniel. A
Beautiful.
small but very beautiful dragon Reiki ceremony.
So now everybody that's listening, you now have the invitation to play with your healing Reiki dragon.
Exactly.
So Maitland, there is a question. The fire serpent Raku is not to be used in healing work, ? Is this correct? Or how can we use it for healing?
It is intense, is what I feel the practitioner meant when it's not supposed to be used. It is supposed to be used, but it is just not for everyone, for it can create a Kundalini awakening very quickly if you're not careful. So that's where care needs to be officially put, and where a bottle technique needs to be placed around the sacral and the root chakras where the Kundalini is the most. For I feel that is where the practitioner was trying to go when you heard of this. For the Reiki is an amazing symbol and it works wonderful, but it's incredibly powerful. And all symbols should be used, but just with precaution, for it can feel like you are going into convulsive shock sometimes if you're not used to your Kundalini rising and falling, as we have experienced in Jamie's classes before, and sometimes medical ambulance people have been called in to help calm down and cool the areas of the Kundalini that were creating too much heat. And that is why the Reiki is a beautiful symbol, but a very powerful one at the same time.
Hopefully that's helpful, Marge. Anything else that you want to ask about that? Nothing so far. So while Margaret is sending a note in, thank you again, Maitland, for coming to play with us, and Grace for being in the background and presenting herself forward. Really honestly appreciate that. As always, for anybody that is listening to this, Maitland and Grace, but I always say Maitland more because she's just more visible, more playful and cute. No offense, Grace. Maitland is much more kind of, visible in my space. And so Maitland is always, and Grace are always here to help us, and all we need to do is ask. So Maitland is easy to get to know because she speaks through Jamie on her monthly energy updates, and so she's visible a lot on YouTube. If you go into Jamie's YouTube page, you can also find videos where Grace speaks, but she doesn't do public conversations as often. Grace will present a lot more as part of Jamie's membership community, which is behind the wall. But they're both amazing guides, and you can always ask for them to come and help you and play with you. So
we are always around, Daniel. Always
here. So Margaret says, wow, thank you. Yes, I am an animal Reiki master and just learning about dragons, which I love. Blessings to you, Maitland and Grace and Samuel. You've opened my doors. I knew the two were connected, dragons and Reiki. Beautiful. Thank you, Margaret. Okay. Grace, Maitland, I will say goodbye to you for now. And Grace, is there anything that you would like to come in to say?
Just give us permission when you're feeling doubts. We shall come in more than you know, but we always need permission. Pure and simple.
Thank you very much, Grace.
Bye, Daniel. Bye, everyone.
Ciao, ciao. See you later, alligator. In a while, crocodile. Bye-bye, butterfly. Toodaloo, kangaroo. So for those of you that are listening, the reason that I was doing the little goodbye rhyming things is because Maitland loves them. And so anyway, Samuel, thank you. How are you feeling?
Thank you. I hope that was very informative for everyone involved, yeah. And for those who will view it later on, yeah.
Anything else that you would like to kind of bring up and talk about?
No, I think it's been a bit of an information overload already today.
And so, okay, I will let Samuel kind of talk about him to you guys as well after I mention this. Samuel is a gifted energy worker that plays in healing, channeling, mediumship, readings, both with tarot and through, channeled messages. And one of the beautiful things about Samuel and his work is that they all interrelate and integrate beautifully into one another. And so if you want to do a Reiki healing, I would say 99.99% of the time, if not 110% of the time, Samuel is going to be getting messages from your higher self and your team and information about the work that he may or may not share with you openly.
Or we're saying that unless I usually say, do you wish to hear what came up?
Yeah. What came up is really freaking weird. Do you want to hear it? And so this is just, it's just my little plug for Samuel. He's an amazing person to work with. And so if you're interested in reaching out to him, again, the invitation is in the website. He's offering a Reiki healing session at a discounted rate for the listeners of season 7. But I will let Samuel say anything else that he would like to say about his work and how to connect with him and all of that good stuff.
At the moment, yeah, I can be reached on my phone number, 6104-159-39325, which is, of course, the Australian number, or my email address, which, of course, is oracleinthereflection333@gmail.com, or otherwise you can find me on Facebook in Oracle_in_reflection on both Instagram and Facebook and YouTube.
Beautiful. And for whatever the reason, if you can't find them, you can find me and I will connect you, as always. So Samuel, thank you for coming to play. Thank you for everything that you've shared and
thank you, Madeline and Grace and everyone who came to play.
Absolutely. And so thank you for sharing your portals with us and your work that you're doing with portals and how this Reiki healing is expanding for you through the portal imagery and metaphor, which is beautiful. Looking forward to hearing how this expands and progresses in the future as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone who's been so patiently and given all such great questions for us to answer today. And for being here in general,
Yeah. So thank you guys all for
and
being
hello to everyone who's going to be viewing it afterwards as well.
Yes, hello to everybody afterwards too, and thank you for being here too. So those of you that are here live, thank you for being here with us. Really appreciate your presence. And those of you that are listening, thank you for being here. You are here too as well, in energy and in spirit. I can guarantee that. And so thank you very much for everything that that you shared, Samuel. Looking forward to the next time that we play together. For those of you that are going to be able to join me tomorrow for day 3 of the season, we have Florentine Bishops. It's just a French name and I don't remember how to pronounce it properly. Sorry, Florentine. She's starting it off. She's been with us in the past. Ana Maria Vasquez plays in the natural world. Florentine's going to play with Mermaid and the divine divine feminine energy. Ana Maria, natural world, she's going to play with the rocks. And then we've got Heidi Sue to finish off the day. And Heidi Sue typically does readings and connects with different energies and helps people to resolve and release and transcend experiences. So it's going to be a great day tomorrow. So thank you guys all for being here. We ran a little late today. Thank you guys for your patience with me. I will leave you guys for now with being spirit, being human, and simply being from love. And I will talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye. Didn't that stop recording? It's interesting. Am I still recording on this? I am recording on this. Why didn't that stop?
It says that recording.
Thank you for being part of this incredible experience. We hope that this session has inspired a new level of understanding within you, allowing you to expand more easily into the essence of your true self and become an even more powerful alchemist in your own life. We invite you to listen to the session again and again in order to go deeper each time and expand even more. Have it be via the replays or the unlimited access package. If you have enjoyed being part of this event, we invite you to tell your friends so that they can join us in the future. We are grateful that you are here, and we thank you for co-creating this experience with us. Until next time, we leave you with being spirit, being human, and simply being from love.